Hi Quilters, today's show is all about sewing our Go Glorified 9-patch blocks for this AQS AccuQuilt-Along.
Stay tuned for plenty of tips, tricks, and fun.
Hi Quilters, I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert.
All right, welcome to part 2 of the 2023 AQS AccuQuilt-Along Series, Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch Throw Quilt. Today, we will be showing you how to sew your blocks together.
That's right.
Super easy,
Super easy.
gentle curves.
Nobody panic, it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
Pam and I are just in the midst of getting a little, trying to get a little ahead of things.
A little
here.
prep going on here.
Just a little. Plus, we'll have live question and answer all throughout the show with AccuQuilt's very own Mr. Do-It-All, Brock Workman, as our moderator. He is the voice behind the curtain today.
He is.
Okay, we have to talk about our special prop.
We do. So we got this out for, well, we meaning
Brock, Mr. Do-It-All. Don't burn yourself.
I won't. This is our latest sewing machine. Ready?
How fun is that?
Okay, wait.
Okay, what did it say? Because I couldn't
I
understand
don't know, but it's hilarious. Oh, it's still sewing. Okay, watch. One more time. It's facing the other direction, so we can't hear what it says.
Can't tell what it says.
So that is our newest sewing machine on the set today because we're having to sew along. I have ordered one. The lovely Erica has ordered one, and I got one for my grandson who loves skeletons. So we do not sell it on the AccuQuilt site, but you can find it. Just ask Mr. Googleys for a skeleton sewing machine.
And it doesn't actually sew, just in case anybody was wondering.
But it is super cute, and it's here because we're all sewing.
Fun, and it's Halloween time, so why not?
It is. All right, so be sure to ask your questions that you might have, and put them in the comment section wherever you stream our show, and then Brock will relay them to us.
Yes.
Because I feel like there might be some questions today as we're putting these blocks together.
And we kind of jumped ahead, so we've got things in all different stages, but that's okay. We're going to take you every step of the way through. So Quilters, in case you missed it, we started this with a kickoff that was our introduction, and that was back on September 20th.
Which seems like so long ago, but not that far.
It really wasn't. So it was 2 weeks before we got started. We went over the fabric, the pattern. We talked about different ways of putting it together a little bit. And then there was a blog post that same day that had traditional rotary cutting directions for anybody who didn't have an AccuQuilt Go cutting system yet. Although I have noticed on our Facebook group that not only have some quilters decided this was the time to get a Go, but some of them that had a Go have decided that this was a die they wanted to get. So, and I don't blame you. This is such a great die. You're going to have so much fun with it.
Super easy to use. And then we talked over color combinations and variations and those kind of things. And then last week, we cut and organized our pieces. And truly, Quilters, it's beneficial to watch each show in order before you start on the Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch Throw Quilt. But we're going to tell you, Quilters, it is not too late to start.
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, if you are just thinking you want to start joining us, then go ahead, order the die, pull your fabric. I think Erica had some from her stash. I pulled some from my stash.
I did.
We need words.
I did.
So, thank you. You can watch all of those videos on the AccuQuilt's video gallery Facebook page or YouTube channels.
Right. As always, all of our videos live on after the show.
They do.
So,
do you want to show your block, Erica?
Here is a sample of my block.
Oh, thank you, Greg.
Oh, sorry, Greg. And you can see really in the center It's a 9-patch, right? There's a
It
reason
is.
we call it a glorified 9-patch. It's a 9-patch, it's just a little modified.
Yes.
And then it's those sides. So this is what we're gonna be building today, is this block. So I'm gonna put one over here.
And I have mine laid out
Yes,
to start sewing these blocks. I have a, and we're gonna show you, we're gonna do 2 blocks at a time.
right.
Because we have found that that works great. So I have 3 different colorways of blocks. This is my first colorway. And so I'm gonna chain piece all of my pieces together, my blocks together. Also, I am making mine bigger. The pattern only calls for 9.
Only 9 squares, but you know what? I have collected so much fabric for this project, mine's gonna end up being bigger too.
Yep, yep. All right.
So, quilters, like we mentioned in the beginning, Brock is here to ask us any of the questions you might have so that we can answer them.
So let us know in the comment section wherever you stream your show. So before we get started, Brock, do we have questions?
We have no questions as of yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Ask your questions.
So I
Have a Zen
will
moment.
give you our first tip of the day is before you start sewing your blocks, if you haven't done it yet, you want to download the free pattern to make sure that you sew your units together correctly.
Yes.
Now we're basically sewing rows together.
Right.
So we've both laid ours out. So there's a tip for when you're laying these out to make sure that you've got them in the right order, right, Pam?
Right. These have notches on them. And you want all the notches to be facing out. So when I go to sew these 2 pieces together, notice, quilters, they are straight edges. If I go to sew these 2 pieces together and there are no notches, that is incorrect.
That's right.
Okay? So just lay out your pieces, take a breath. It's really, really easy to do. So I'm gonna start up here at the top, and I'm just gonna start here at the top and do 2 sections at a time, or 2 pieces at a time, and move my rows down. Is that how you're doing it, Erica?
Well, yes, it is. And I had started this block beforehand, but I've got 2 blocks laid out also. Now I'm going really scrappy with mine. So I've laid out 2 blocks on top of each other. And
Okay.
I too, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do my first sections here.
And this truly is a scrappy quilt. I mean, the center.
We made a scrappy one before.
Yes.
And this is still gonna be scrappy. So again, I've got my notches are all gonna be pointing to the outside. Now here's another little tip, and I don't know if you're doing this or not, Pam, but I'm trying to remember on my outside, my seams that are gonna be on the outside of my block,
Right.
to back stitch on those, because those are the ones we're gonna be sewing into the curve.
Oh, that's a really good tip. I had not remembered to do that. So we can, though. So just going. Is there a technical foul?
There's
Oh,
a
good.
question.
Hi.
Is this how we're going
I thought
to
it
know
was
we
a
have
technical
questions?
foul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And listen, it's baseball season. Why do we have whistles? There are no whistles in baseball.
well, baseball season's winding down. And
Okay.
I don't know. That was just the first one I clicked on.
Okay.
That's what you get when I have to do 7 things at once. So
When Brock is in charge, that's what we get. Okay.
That's right.
Cindy S. has the question.
Okay, Cindy.
I saw a picture of a similar quilt, but instead of a 9-patch, that area was all one color. Is there a way to do that and eliminate the 9-patch seams?
Well,
There's a
yes.
die for that. It's called Go Rob Peter to Pay Paul. So it's very similar. Bless you.
it's a very similar block, but it is technically a different block.
It is.
So that's the answer to that.
Yes. So you eliminate the 9-patch in the center, so it's no longer a glorified 9-patch. But yes, there is a die for that. That's a great question.
It is.
Yes.
Arlene has the question, how many more rows is Pam doing and how much more fabric did she use?
Oh, that's a great question. I am actually making a total of 30 blocks because I, in my stash, had half-yard cuts. So I had plenty of fabric. So I'm going to tell you, It depends. So are you good?
No, there's an oopsie on my.
She has an oopsie. So if you look at the pattern, it's going to tell you to create 3 different blocks, but kind of not really. I mean, look at the pattern behind us. So I'm going to tell you, here's how you do it. Here's how I did it. On the die, here, I'm going to show you the die, and I'm going to talk about it.
I'm going to have to recut that piece.
Okay, so here's the die. Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
So what I did was I measured shape A and shape B, and I measured the width.
Yes.
And then I determined the size, how many I could get out of a width of fabric strip. Okay, so I measured shape A and I determined how many I could get. And then I measured shape B and determined how many of those, because I could just measure the shape.
Because you could, in other words.
Same with C and D, right?
Right.
So let's say this is, I'm making stuff up. Let's say this is 10 inches by 3 inches. So if I cut a 10.5 inch width of fabric strip, I could, in theory, get 40 divided by 3 is, I don't know, some. More than 10, 12, 15, I don't know.
That would be the technical way of doing it.
And then, so then I knew how many of each shape I could get out of a width of fabric strip. And since I had half-yard cuts for these 3 shapes, I was golden. So that's what I would tell you to do. Measure the shape, see how many you can get out of a width of fabric strip, and then determine, so I have 3 different colorways. I had plenty of fabric. And then shape D is my background fabric, and it is all the same. So I just got yardage, and I'm just using white.
Yes, I am too. We're actually using the same white.
Yes.
As luck would have it.
Imagine that, us
Imagine
using the
that.
same. But that's a really great question, because sometimes if you're trying to build more blocks and it's scrappy like this, that's the easiest way to do it. Just measure the shape.
Now, if you're going to ask how many blocks I'm making, I'm going to say, uh-huh.
Yes, you got nothing.
I totally am scrappy, and I'm pulling this out of what I have, and I have not been nearly that organized.
Yes.
So I'm thinking in my head I may do 12 blocks.
Oh, there you go.
And just make it a little bit bigger, but it will either be probably 12 or 16 blocks for mine.
Right. So if you're just making the 9 from the 9 patch, okay, I made this quilt in like a weekend. I'm taking Friday off to sew, Erica.
As am I, Pam.
Yeah, we're taking the day off.
We are.
I'm doing some UFOs.
We were on the road, so.
Actually, that's not true.
I have to
I'm
cut
working
another
on a
piece of this
Halloween project that I just discovered this morning.
Oh.
And if at 6:30 this morning I would have had the die I needed, I would have already had it all cut out and maybe blocks sewn together.
So,
I was texting Erica at 6:15 this morning saying, hey, look at this cute new
one
block.
in my life was texting me very early this morning, and you all may not know this about me, but I'm not a morning person.
She is not. She's a late night owl. I am an early bird.
Not even a late night owl. I'm a, 9 to noon kind of gal.
And then by 3 o'clock in the
9 to
afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I am spent. So I should not make any executive decisions after 3 p.m. All right, so now we're sewing our pieces together. Look how we did this. We just sewed rows. Okay, I have one left. Just chain piecing for days.
Well, I discovered I'm short a piece, so,
I have a die. Do you want to
that's-
cut some?
Well, I know, but I don't seem to have that fabric with me, as luck would have it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all
So
right.
I'm out of luck on that. So
Did you cut it, like with your scissors?
I think I must have, or there was a cut in it, because again, I'm using scraps.
Oh, that's
There was already a cut in it, and I didn't notice it when I laid it on my die, I think is what happened.
Ah,
But fear not, I had more
there.
cut, different blocks, not the same one.
Okay, so now that I have my pieces cut and sewn
Yes.
into my little sections,
Oh, I think I missed it.
let's talk about pressing, because we want we're just sewing rows together, okay?
Just rows. Just
So
rows.
yeah, don't make it more complicated than it is. So in my quilting head, I am going to press towards, this is shape B. This is shape B. This is shape B, the light here. So I am going to press all of my sections, all of my rows, towards shape B, and then that way, when I go to sew my rows together, they will nest, which I think is super cool. Is that how you're going to do it too, Miss
You
Erica?
know what? I think I got started doing it the opposite way.
You can do it however you want.
And although that is not nearly as easy to remember, that's what I'm left with. So
But you just
I shall go with what I have.
yes, there there you go. Don't forget, you can ask Brock questions in the chat. Hey, so
I know you're really all waiting for us to get to the outer edge, but you got to
know.
piece your 9 patch to the
listen,
middle
you got to
first.
do it. You got to do it.
There's an order.
So this is our last sew along for this year of 2023.
It is.
But as luck would have it, Eric and I will be doing another sew along
Yes.
in 2024, which is hard to say out loud, right?
It really
2024.
is. It really is. Doesn't that sound like
Sounds like
so far away?
So far
quilters?
away. It's just like a couple of
goodness.
months. Okay. So quilters, while you're watching, we would like to know what dye or pattern would you like us to use in a sew along for next year?
Oh, yes.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I really would like to hear it. Eric and I were traveling this weekend. Huge shout out to all of the people we met
Oh,
at
we
Hayes
did. It was-
Sewing and Sweetwater Quilts. No, it was-
Sweetwater Designs,
Sweetwater,
Material Girls
yes.
Quilt Shop, and Steve Sewing.
yes. We went to all those places. We had a great time. We met so many fun quilters.
We did.
Okay. Yes, do you have a question?
Beam me up.
Sherry would like to know, does the center square always match the corners?
Yes. That's how you get that look
That's
of
how
the
you
9
get that
patch.
typical 9 patch
Yes.
look. I mean, if you really wanted to, hey, this is your quilt. You want to try it up with something else? You want to use, maybe you want to have all of your blocks have the same center. Go for it.
And different outsides, but that's how you get the look of the 9 patch.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a good, yes. I
We
can
have
hard,
2 questions about pressing.
okay.
Kathy would like to know, how are you pressing your seams? And then Cheryl, or no, sorry, Wizzy had the question, do you always use a dry iron to press seams?
So first question, yes, we always use a dry iron, no, none, ever steam.
Right.
The reason is steam has a tendency to kind of
Distort.
distort your fabric, so we like to have it. And I am pressing all of my seams towards shape B, which in my case is this light color. Erica's pressing it away. It doesn't really matter, just so long as you press those rows in opposite directions, then they will nest as you come to sew them together. Nesting is what you want because then you're gonna get those perfect points. Have you ever looked at a quilt and seen rows together and they don't match? That's a little frustrating.
So do we have our overhead? I don't remember if we have the overhead today.
We do. Kenyon is in charge.
So if you can,
There we go.
so if you look real close, it's kind of hard with the fabric, but the nesting them, I've got this seam is facing that way. The bottom seam is facing that way. And that means that you can nest or you can butt them up next to each other. And that gives you, I mean, they kind of lock in. We talk about it nesting, but it's really almost like locking them in. And that's how you're gonna get those perfect points. Now, when I'm done, when I sew my rows together, the rows, I was pressing mine open.
Yes. I just press them. Yes.
We have 2 questions about the machine that you use, some of the bits on your machine, Pam.
Yes.
Roz wants to know, what are the markings on your presser foot? And then Claudia has the question, do you always use a walking foot?
So I'm going to start with yes, I always use a walking foot. And the reason is it just helps the fabric go through more evenly. So see back here, this is our walking foot. So you can take it off like that and disengage it.
And this is actually, technically it's not a walking foot on Pam's. Pam's sewing on a FAF, and so FAF machines are going to have what they call an IDT technology, and I can't remember what it stands for, but what it is that little that little back foot that you can drop and use anytime you want to use a walking foot. So that's actually in place of a walking foot. Now I have a FAF at home, and I do, when I'm sewing on it, I do exactly what Pam's doing here with that IDT, engaging that. This one has a 1/4 inch foot on it. I do not have a walking foot on it because I like sewing with a 1/4 inch foot. And Pam's is a 1/4 inch foot also. That's kind of the
standard.
the standard. I mean, if you've never sewn with a 1/4 inch foot, quilters, I think it's life-changing myself.
Oh my gosh, everybody should sew with a 1/4 inch foot. And then with regard to the red markings on mine, I have no clue what they are on my foot. Do you know what they are for Erica?
No, I can't help you with that.
Sorry. This is the machine we use here in the studio. At home, I sew on a different machine. I sew on a Brother. Because you know what, quilters, sewing machines are, you know, get what works for you. My Brother at home only sews a straight stitch, and I love it because I don't often do like decorative stitches or zigzag stitches. I just sew 1/4 inch seams, and it has a 1/4 inch foot.
And you and that machine have been together for several
For a
years.
long time, probably 20 years. I love it. And this is your reminder, if you have not had your machine serviced lately,
Oh,
this is your
good reminder.
that you should do that.
once a year, depends on how much you sew.
So I sew almost every day.
Right.
Because we sew for work. So I actually, sorry, machine.
Do you try to do yours more than once a year?
I do mine once a quarter, every 3 months. And when I do, Casey, who is in charge of that, he just finds just dirt and dust bunnies and all sorts of things stuck in my machine.
No,
so.
I will take mine. Anytime I change my bobbin, I pull it out and whisk it out.
Okay.
Down there.
All right, so if we have an overhead, I'm going to show you how I'm going to press these. Erica presses her seams open, but these center seams, I'm just going to press to the outside because I have lots of blocks to sew. I'm just going to do it like this. It's not going to make a difference to line things up.
I think it's easier when you're sewing the curve to press it open, but that's my preference. We're going to let Pam have her preference.
Do your own thing.
Yep.
All right, so here's my 2 sections.
What do we say, Brock?
What do we say?
There's no quilt police, right?
Yet.
There's no pressing
Yet.
police either.
Yet.
There's no pressing police. Okay, here we go. All right, don't forget, you can ask questions in the comment section. We want to know, do you have questions about the glorified 9 patch? And then we have, what do you want us to do next year? Yes, Brock?
We had a few people ask about this mystery Halloween project you're working on. Is it something you can share with the group?
Can I leave the set, producer, director?
Yeah?
It's right there. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. I can hardly
Had
stand
to
up.
ask.
I'm so excited. Okay. Okay, first of all, this is a safe space and no one will judge me. That's the rule. Brock. Okay, so I have a couple of bags of Halloween fabric from my stash. Okay, and I saw the greatest project on Instagram this morning. And often quilters, when I look at projects, the first thing that comes to my head is there is a die for that. So I try to look at projects in that way because sometimes I can cut 95% of a project with a die rather than rotary cutting and rulers.
Oh, and we love that.
And we love that because so what I did was, and it just so happens that this particular block is very prominent, so you would all recognize it. So then in my quilting head, I was like, okay, how can I cut this out? Because I love Halloween, okay? So here is the fabric I'm going to use. Excuse me here. Okay, so these little ginger, Erica bought me these, this.
They glow, the skeleton parts glow in the dark.
They glow in the dark. And then I have bats and dancing skeletons.
If you're noticing a theme here.
Candy corn. And spider web is going to be my background.
That's fabulous. That's like a silver metallic spider web. That is a fabulous background.
Lovely. So lovely.
My.
Okay, so these are the 4 fabrics I'm going to use. You can follow me on Instagram, on AccuQuilt Educator Pam Heller.
Are you telling them what
on
dye
Facebook.
you're using?
Yes. So then this morning I was super excited because
She was texting me at dark 30.
I was. So this is the die that I am using. This is the Go Big Snail's Trail die.
Right.
And it makes a 12-inch finished block. So quilters, just like our glorified 9-patch, we've screen printed all the letters, and we have specialized dog ears for these half-square triangles. So it has all the shapes that you need to make a 2-color snail's trail block. That is important to know. I am using 4 colors at a time to create a project that I will be showing you probably this afternoon. So, snail's trail die. We also have a Go version of it if you don't have a Go Big.
Yes.
It makes 8-inch blocks. I'm going to tell you, quilters, if you have not ever made snail's trail with a die, talk about chain piecing heaven.
Yeah.
You just sew the A's and the A's and the A's together, and then you add the B's and the C's and D's. If you can count,
Keep going around in a circle. It's
if
fabulous.
you can use the alphabet to E, you can make a snail's trail. So I'm super excited.
All right, now that she's gotten that out of her system.
Well, yes. Let's go back here because
Let's
this
go back
also
here.
is super exciting. Okay, now you
So
can talk.
Now we've got our 9 patches done. So we've got our basic 9 patches done here. I'm going to hold it up with its little legs. And now we're going to sew. I kind of feel like I'm holding a chicken up or something. We're going to sew those curved pieces on the side. And I know that's what everybody's been
I know you had to deal with
concerned about.
the first.
But you got to get there first.
Okay, so Erica's going to show
This is why
you.
we have notches, quilters. So we're going to match those notches up from the piece and from this piece, and we're going to notch them up. Now, I always want to sew. I'm going to tell you to always sew with your smile on top.
Yes.
That's this curve. So I'm going to pin it that way too, because otherwise it's just awkward. And I'm using these little wonder pins. We've got them on our site. They're super flexible, super fine. They're long, which I really like for these, and I'll show you why. And I'm going to place my first pin on my center notch. Now I'm going to go over and pin either side.
This project was made for Erica. It has pins and notches.
Pins and notches.
It's her thing.
And then I like to do one other pin, and that is to get started right and to end right. So I like to take, and like I said, I mentioned that these are really long, which is helpful, because I'm going to put this, and don't anybody panic. This is like my little hack I developed. This is what happens when you're self-taught. I'm going to put this in at the front end. Now, when I put this under my sewing machine, I'm going to start sewing here. Don't anybody panic. I'm going to pull my pin out, but keeping that in there till I get my presser foot and my needle down is going to help keep everything in place to give me a perfect starting point. And then I'm going to go do the same exact thing down here for my ending point. But Pam, you know, the word pin...
It's just not my favorite thing, but we were on a show the other day. We did a show.
We did a show just the other day
I can't remember show.
with 2 new curved dies, the Go Signature Circles
yes.
and Joseph's Coat.
Yes, and one of our experts
Me.
Was it you that said that? Okay, it was Erica, who said, we have these great June Taylor glue sticks.
Yes.
So here's what I am going to do. I am going to take it's just temporary adhesive, okay? And then I'm going to give it a good, here's what I learned, Erica. I was not giving it enough glue.
Yeah, you don't be this isn't a time to be stingy.
Yeah. Okay. There's, come on. Just, it's glue.
It's glue.
And it's going to be, and don't use your kids' school glue sticks because those are not good.
It just doesn't give you the same results.
It doesn't.
It comes down to using the right tool for the job makes all the difference.
So now I can have my smiley facing up on the top. And I actually did use one whole pin in here, Erica. I knew you'd be pleased.
I'm so proud.
Okay, so right here at the center, I did use one whole pin. Okay, then compared to like a half a pin. And then here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna follow this curve right down here. Just don't pull the fabric too much. I think that was the,
Yeah,
you
just have to be gentle. So remember, we've got curves that we've cut, and that gives us bias, which means stretch in our fabric.
Right.
And you don't want to be tugging on this bias
No.
because it's gonna cause problems as you go along. Think of yourself as a facilitator here. We're guiding our fabric into the right position. We're going to guide it through our sewing machine. Yep. So while Pam, I've got opposite sides pinned on. So now while Pam's is gluing, I'm going to move my one that's got a bad piece and go over here and start sewing.
And I'm going to tell you, quilters, that it takes a little minute for the glue to dry.
What I want, though.
Are you good over there?
I am, but you know what? I'm going to tell you that you want to use a leader when you're starting this. So I'm
well,
gonna
you could use your cut piece.
I'm going to take my piece that had a scissor cut in it.
There you go.
Because I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, so
use that as a leader.
So look what I've done here, quilters. I have just pressed these two pieces together. I was really good not to distort the fabric. And I'm just going to let it sit for a minute. Okay, it's temporary glue. Okay, so now I'm going to do another one, and then I can come back and then I can stitch these. So I think that I like this better than pinning.
I'm so happy.
Well, do you think you like it better than pinning?
You know what? We've talked about it before, but I come from a garment background, and so
She does.
I think people that come from a garment background are more comfortable with pinning.
Right.
I know I am. So here's the other tip, and I did it automatically without telling you, and yes, the purple broke off of my nail today, and I'm sorry. I'll try to hide it.
Well,
But
now that you told the world, it's okay.
I back stitch at the beginning and end of this
Always.
because I don't want it going anywhere. So I'm just going to take it nice and easy and move this around and pull my pin out.
And some of you are probably thinking, Pam, that takes too long to glue. But then you got a pin. So I'm going to glue.
And if at some point, I'm just guiding this around. And if at some point you get to thinking that you've got a bunchie developing. This is a highly technical term. It was used with teaching me to sew. Go ahead, with your needle down in your fabric, raise your presser foot, and put it back down.
Yeah, just smooth it out. This is
Just going to help release the tension that's built up.
Yeah.
And you can sew. I've come up to my next pin. It's out. I'm moving on.
And I think that that's important because I think sometimes when we're sewing curves, we get in that stress mode of, oh my goodness, look at, there's bunching.
goodness.
There's bunching
What am I
happening.
going to do? What am I going to do? It's not going to fit. It's not going to work. You just kind of have to develop a very zen attitude of relaxing and letting it all work out. Because I could have panicked a few stitches back and thought that I had a bunchie coming, but I knew as I turned that corner, as I just eased it around, it's just going to be fine.
And is bunching like a technical term?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Brock, do we have questions? All right. I think we probably have 10 of them.
Do,
Okay,
yeah.
go for it.
Okay, would you like suggestions for the quilt-along first or questions first?
Let's do questions and then we'll do suggestions.
Yes.
Okay. Where did the questions go?
We are a festive group here today.
Okay, we had a couple people ask if you could talk about the clappers that we're using on set.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so these are great. We have them on our website. And what it's going to do is it helps you just keep your seams flat.
So after you press them, these are solid maple. They're nice and heavy. They're made by a local craftsman here in Nebraska.
Super nice guy.
Really nice guy. It's got AccuQuilt branded on the top, so you can see it right side up. And it just helps make those seams flat. So you press it down, and whether you're a steam presser or not, I like to use it with a wool mat or a cut and press from June Taylor, and then put this on top of it, and it just kind of weights it down. It absorbs the heat, and it just helps flatten it out.
Another reason we don't use steam is because we use wool mats.
And we like
And they will get stinky.
Well, and even if I'm using the June Taylor mat, which won't go through and won't have that wool smell, it's still gonna work. I just don't like using the steam. So
All right.
I'm starting my other side now, because we're doing opposite sides.
Okay, Brock.
Now what have we got?
Yes, so one person was asking about you guys using steam or not, and you answered that
Yep.
question, so that's good. We had one lady ask, Teresa asked if we have a rose dye.
We have the Rose of Sharon die, but we do not have a die that just makes a rose. But we have a sister company called Custom Shape Pros that can make any non-licensed shape for you. I wonder if she lives in Portland, which is the Rose City.
It is the Rose City.
Let's see, Deb asked the question, hi Erica, as a fellow pinner, have you ever used the clover forked pins? I love them for keeping open seams lined up and flat.
You know, I haven't, but I've been intrigued with them. So Deb, if you're gonna give them an endorsement, that just might be what I need to push me over the edge and try some. Before I knew how to nest my seams with quilting, by pressing them the opposite directions that we showed you, I thought that I really needed them in my life. When I started nesting seams, then I was like, and our shapes tend to fit together so well that it doesn't tend to be a problem. But you're right, when you have your seams pressed open, I've always wondered. Thank you for sharing that. I want to try some now.
Maybe we could ask Lauren and the Gibney to look on that to maybe we sell some on our
Maybe
site.
we'll need them, yeah.
I'm sure they're listening somewhere out there.
Somewhere.
Somewhere out
Okay,
there.
we got just a smorgasbord of opinions about what to do for the next sew along.
Okay, we're intrigued.
Delightful,
So
we're listening.
So, just going through, so many, I'm not going to name names, but I will say, I've seen a few double wedding rings.
okay.
The Storm at Sea has been mentioned a few times.
I do love Storm at Sea.
Let's see, we've got the Hunter Stars, a big fan favorite.
Oh, yes.
Star of the East.
That's a great die too, yes.
Would love to see, let's see, I would love to see a lap-size quilt using the maple leaf die for a sew-along.
Erica made just the other day a table runner with a maple leaf die.
That's a great die.
Wow, let's see, we had Pat say, I would love to see the Chinese lantern pattern. She says she has struggles keeping them lined up, and so a
I
sew-along
like
would be helpful
Chinese
for that.
lantern. Erica, we might
Yeah,
noodle on that.
Yeah. So I'm hearing all bobs. Does that mean you
Yeah.
don't want us to do cubes?
We have had some cubes. We have had a couple of people
Okay.
ask for some patterns for the 8-inch cube.
There you go.
Because let's see, as Linda put it, so long patterns using the 8-inch cube need more creative minds such as you two divas.
Oh. We're going to have shirts made that say that.
Yes,
YouTube divas.
yes.
Creative divas.
Okay, so I've sewn my opposite sides on. I know this is and this is kind of the moment of truth, right? This is the pressing time. I press my curves to the outside because my fabric wants to go that way. And when I'm sewing curves, I don't like to argue with my fabric. Look at this.
It's perfect. And notice there's a little seam right here, which is perfect because you're going to add a quarter of a seam.
Right.
Quarter-inch seam on the other side.
Right, I certainly am.
Okay, while Erica's pressing and showing us, don't forget to share your fabric and blocks on the AQS Project Parade Facebook page.
Oh, yes.
So everyone can see your progress. Quilters, it's a quilt-along, not a race. So don't worry if you're a bit behind. Slow and steady is what you want. Use that hashtag AQSews, because then Erica and I can just Google it, and it will bring it up in there.
My short little stubby arms here.
Or is it too far away?
No, I just wasn't. I was reaching out because I was trying to hit the middle of the.
There you go. And while Erica is pressing, you also want to check out the AccuQuilt blog, because the lovely Erica will have a post each Wednesday during the Quilt-Along, which is today, over the details from the day's events. Be sure to sign up on the AccuQuilt website. That way you'll be notified when a blog post goes live.
Okay, now I'm ready. Now that I've got these two sides on, I'm ready to put these two sides on.
And how does one do that, Erica?
The same way that we did the others.
Yes. This is just repetition. And here's what I have found when I've made these blocks, quilters. The 9 patch sews together so quickly.
Oh gosh, yes.
So I would tell you to do the 9 patches of your blocks first, and then add the arches.
Again, keep just chain piecing.
Yeah.
It's really your best bet with this.
Yes.
Look how this, look how the dog ear fits together perfectly. I just love it. I love it. And really, one of the reasons why I love this block so much is that it creates a circular outline for other blocks.
Yes.
And it just is there's so many creative things, just got a lot of creative possibilities with this. So I think it's a die everybody should have to just open up possibilities for you.
Yeah, it finishes to 9 inches, so. Okay, and just like Erica, I am gonna take my time and I am gonna press towards that little melon shape. It's where it wants to go. I'm not gonna fight with it either.
Don't fight with your fabric.
Yep. Okay, so it's gonna come right here. Now, make sure you get all of that. So maybe, Erica, I don't want to put as much glue in the corner
Okay.
because I had to.
Well, and you may want to also use a stiletto. And I didn't grab our stiletto. We've got one here in the studio that we sell on the website. And it's great because it's got a little rubber tip, so it kind of grips the fabric for you. But you want to be sure that you are consistent with your 1/4 inch seam from beginning to end. That's actually really important.
Yes.
With this one. You want to be as consistent, sometimes we kind of taper off at the end. That's really going to cause some issues for you going forward. So you want to stay, oh, my pressing was horrible there. You want to stay.
You want to stay that 1/4 inch
That
seam.
1/4 inch seam from beginning point to ending.
And when you first start with this, you're going to find, I would tell you to make a test block.
And so many of you have. I'm so proud of you,
Yes.
quilters. You've been
Yes.
making so many test blocks. It's great. Thank you. It makes me feel good that you've done that. And you know what? Those test blocks that I've been seeing everybody make on the Facebook page, they all look beautiful.
Yes.
So what you've all discovered, I think, is that it isn't a curve to be afraid of, right?
No, don't be scared of curves.
You don't have to be scared
And
about
if
it.
somewhere along the way, if you find a little pucker, like if I had a pucker along this edge here, I am going to take it out. I'm going to unstitch it. Unsew, so that I can make sure that my seams are perfect, those little edges, because it's going to really show in the project if you have little puckers. All right. All right, Brock, do we have more questions or suggestions or things, oh my?
We do. How do you guys feel about the Arkansas Traveler?
I love the Arkansas Traveler. I've made 4 of those quilts.
You know, we were at one of the quilt shops, a couple of the quilt shops we were at, had samples of that block up
Every quilt shop we
on
went
their
to, I think.
design wall.
Yeah.
And gosh, I do like that block.
I'm thinking Arkansas Traveler
I
might
like
be a
that
win.
idea, yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's good because that was mentioned by a few people.
Yeah, it makes
than
a
a few.
great 12-inch block. Barbara Harper, who is one of our experts and educators who is brilliant, she made an Arkansas Traveler using negative space, and it's so hard to tell you how she did it. But I made one for Mason using that idea of the negative space, my son Mason, for Christmas. And it just gets a completely different look. But I would totally be down for Arkansas Traveler.
Yeah, that.
Good call. What else, Brock?
Courtyard is one that's been mentioned a few
Oh,
times.
Courtyard.
Yeah,
Okay.
they want us to sew Y seams.
Yes.
They're easy to
They're
sew.
super easy.
They're easy to sew.
What else, Mr. Brock?
So Peggy said, you know, you could just do one sew along for each of the state dyes that we have. You know, North Carolina, Ohio, Alabama.
Oh, I do like Alabama Beauty, Arkansas.
Yeah, we've got great state dyes. Ohio Star is one of my favorite. A little schmutz there.
The plated block dye is one that's mentioned a few times. People would like to see that.
I've got fabric all pulled to do a table runner in St. Patrick's Day fabrics in that.
Oh, there. See? Okay, good suggestions so
Yeah,
far.
We love it. Keep them coming. How about questions, Brock?
Let me find the questions thread.
Fine.
Fine.
I would like to know the maker of Pam's fabric she showed, please.
Ooh.
The Halloween
Oh, I was
fabric.
going to say
Who
this is
made that?
Corey Yoder, Buttercup and Slate. And we love Corey Yoder.
Love Corey.
Hey, Corey Yoder, if you're watching, just stop. She made the cutest thing today and posted, and that fabric isn't available till the spring. Yeah, let me pull it out real quick. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Yes, one of my all-time most favorite projects I've ever made is called Woolly Stars. It's by Corey Yoder.
Yep.
And it has a sheep. It's sheep. And she's done a Christmas version. Oh,
But the fabric isn't out till the
fabric
spring.
isn't out until the spring. I mean, I was ready at 6:30 this morning to like start this project if I could have. Just like Pam and the Halloween project.
So unfortunately, okay, so this is, so this is Kimberbell Halloween by Kimberbell. And Kimberbell Maywood Studios.
Yes.
The gingerbread, I don't know, Erica bought this for me.
I bought it for you a year ago or two. Does it have a selvage on the other side?
No,
It doesn't?
it does not. So just Google glow-in-the-dark gingerbread,
Glow in the dark
gingerbread Halloween.
gingerbread skeletons.
Yeah, Jill, yeah. I think we did it when we released the gingerbread dye. Okay, so this skeleton one is called Bad to the Bone by Riley Blake Designs.
I
And look,
disagree. I think
okay,
that's
Erica,
by
we
George
have to
Thorogood.
save this salvage.
Save that salvage edge.
Because look, it says My Mind's Eye Paper Goods, and it has all of the skeleton
So
skulls.
fabric comes with these registration marks, and we've talked about it before. Wait, you have to show them. Did we get them on the overhead? So instead of having little dots of fabric, they're skeleton heads. This is why crazy people like me collect these.
Yes.
Because someday we're going to think of something really clever to do with them.
Okay, so that's
It
so
will
far.
make us happy.
It will. And this is candy cane or candy corn, and it does not have a thing either. But this one
I
is
was
big
going to say,
enough.
what's this one? I
This.
really like this.
Riley Blake's. It is called. It also has skulls. It's called, oh, it's part of the Bad to the Bone collection
Okay.
by Riley Blake Designs. So, ta-da. Good old Riley Blake.
I know.
To go along with that, because you're using the Go Big Snails Trail.
Yes.
Cheryl asked, can you make the snail trail pattern with a cube?
You can make a snail's trail pattern with 2 cubes. You could make it with the, yes, you can.
You can, but it does take more than 1 cube, and I haven't done that. I haven't translated that for anybody for a while.
Well, I haven't
and
done it for a
don't
while
remember.
either. I want to say the 8 and the, I bet, because you need it to be, here, hold please while we do this. Hey, so watch Erica while I do this.
Okay, so here I'm pressing my, for you all, they're as bad as us. We come up with a new project and everybody's all distracted.
Yeah, I want to think, okay, this is not for sure, okay? I want to think you could use a cube that was twice the size, so like the 4 and the 8, the 6 and the 12.
I think that was it. I think it was the 6 and the 12 that we had originally used.
So,
but now we have
but
the
we don't
4
know. We don't know.
and the 8,
And-
or the
and-
5 and the 10.
Yeah, and don't quote us on that.
Okay, so here we go.
But here we are sewing glorified 9
We are
patch
sewing
blocks.
glorified 9-patch blocks. And see?
Later this evening, I will be sewing.
It's all sewn out. So what I've done with mine, for the most part, again, I was going scrappy, but I was doing opposites. So I've got this block that has the purple in the corner, and then this block has got the green in the corner.
Oh, so they are, oh, I see how you did that. That's
So
clever.
It's all scrappy, but they're gonna be like mirror images of each other in the quilt.
And do you think they're going to be near each other in the
I
quilt?
think they're gonna be not near each other.
Yeah, I would
I
say
think
not
they're
near.
gonna be spread out.
I would say not near. If I get to choose in your quilt.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. So that's how it goes together. Do we have questions?
Oh, because we're almost done and we have to announce the winner.
We do.
Yes. Jeannie asked, when laying out your strips to cut, you want the lengthwise grain on the long side.
Yep, so-
What about the part B on the die?
Yep. Okay. So, Mr. Greg. So I'm going to cut with the fabric strips. I'm going to measure from here to here at 1/4 of an inch on either side with the fabric strips. The lengthwise grain is going to be parallel to these lengthwise blades. And if you watch last week's show, we kind of showed you this trick about how you can cut and shift and cut and shift. So you would have your fabric laying up to do that. But yeah, you can fan fold over, but this is the lengthwise grain. So if this is my salvage edge, then here. Oh
course we-
gosh, look at this.
Oh,
There we go.
oh, how fun would this have been?
Yeah.
Actually, I can't believe you didn't make this out of holland.
Well, I had this great fabric from
I know.
Corey Yoder.
She'd
Okay,
been
so
waiting. She'd been dying to use this fabric.
yeah, this is the salvage edge. This is the lengthwise grain. Yeah, that's a great question. And why do we use lengthwise grain? I'm going to tell you we use it because that's what's going to keep all of your pieces from not being wonky. You know, if you're cutting on the wonky salvage or the wonky bias edge, you're going to have wonky blocks, and that is not what you want.
True.
You do not wonky.
You do not wonky.
You do not wonky.
So
There's words to live by
there
on
you
a
go.
Wednesday.
There you go.
Okay.
Doc, what else have we got?
All right, a couple more suggestions.
Okay.
Let's see, seeing a lot of blazing stars.
Oh, that's our good friend Eleanor
Oh,
Burns.
that is a great.
And let's see, we had one suggestion of someone asked us to do the feathered star. She said, I really need help with this one. I have, and she's watched all of the tips and videos, and she's still having trouble doing the feathered star.
You know, here is my #1 tip. I will share you a little dirty secret. When I was testing that, I had to cut it by hand before we had the die. And B, that block is the reason we have coloring pages, because the key to that is getting the colored pieces in the right position. So if you have not printed out the free coloring page, it's part of the block assembly directions that you find on the Dies product page at AccuQuilt.com. Totally free to download, and grab some crayons or colored pencils and color it in so that you can build your block as you look at your colored in version. It's gonna make all the difference in the world.
It really does.
It really does. That one is all about color placement, and it's gonna make it so much easier for you. That's my words to live by, as I spent many an hour testing that die.
And one more request came from Dolores, who says it doesn't matter which die we use, but she would like us to do a table runner for one of these.
Ah, well, you know, maybe we should do that. I mean, we picked this project because it's a little bit smaller project, and this is such a busy time of year for everybody. But we've noticed some of you all get your projects done super duper fast. So having an alternative project, that's a bigger version and a smaller version. Maybe we should look at that.
That's a great idea.
I love that idea.
I will sew the table runner version and be done, right, in a day. We talk about that, though.
We do.
That, you know, if you've not ever used a die, if you're new to AccuQuilt, boy, you know, make a test block.
Right.
And then look at making a table runner. Make a wall hanging. You don't have to start so big.
Right. And I tend to make big and small projects because sometimes you just want the sense of having accomplished and finished something, right,
Yeah.
quilters?
Yeah.
What else, Mr. Brock?
So Valerie English is officially our research department. She found out that Henry Glass is the maker of the gingerbread skeletons fabric.
Thank you.
So much. And thank you, Henry Glass, because it's such cute fabric.
Super cute, glows in the dark. And you can follow my Facebook page, AccuQuilt Educator Pam Heller. And boy, howdy, I'm going to be done with it on Friday because Friday I am off.
So here's the big question that I have. Now, we recently, as Pam said, we traveled to some retailers to do Trade Up and Learn events, which was fabulous. And it was the first time they've let Pam and I out of town together, just the two of us together. And we survived quite well.
We did.
But she teased me a lot about my making small projects. So I want to know, what are you doing with this?
I'm making a quilt.
You're making a whole big quilt with
I'm
this?
using the Go Big Snails Trail die. It's going to make a 12-inch block, and I am going to make...
I thought she was going to make a table runner.
No way. If I'm making 12-inch blocks, so I'll give you a hint. 4 of the pieces sewn together is going to be 48 inches. I mean, or 24, right? 24. So I'm making big blocks, and I'm using more than just that Halloween fabric.
Okay.
Okay, so now I sewed one with pins.
So what do you think?
You know, I like here's what I need. I need Oakley, my 9-year-old granddaughter, to come over and glue stick my stuff together. I did like the pin version because then I didn't have to worry so much about, you know, keeping it together, but it did so beautifully when I used pins.
It did so beautifully, yes.
Both
yes,
ways.
It does. Both ways.
Look at how fun that is.
All right. Well, we need to give some things away and
yes,
answer
we only
our
have 2
final
minutes.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we end part 2 of our quilt along for the Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch Throw Quilt, we want to announce the winner of today's giveaway.
Absolutely. The lucky winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points is, drum roll please, Barbara V. from Makawa, Hawaii.
Congratulations.
That's right.
Congratulations. Barbara, before the show, already put $100 in AccuQuilt reward points on your account, so you're already. Okay, don't forget, we have plenty of special offers available if you are on our website, including, I believe, the Glorified 9 patch. You should look and see if you do not own the Snail's Trail die, either in the Go version or the Go Big. You should check it out and see if it's available on our website.
So to get that order in right now, you can open a new tab in your browser, type in AccuQuilt.com/party. You're going to see the current deals. You can place your order. Don't forget to also support your local AccuQuilt retailer as well. All right, Brock, this is our last moment for curvy questions.
So we've gotten a few questions, a lot of different people online, and I guess it's finally time that we address the bobblehead in the room.
Oh, here.
And it is that, why is Emily not here anymore?
Oh, yes.
So Emily is still with AccuQuilt. She is well versed in customer service, and so she has been moved to customer service full time.
And they just really needed her support there, and so we've just done some switching around.
Yes. So Brock is here. He is our co-host on Wednesday. On Tuesdays, he's behind the scenes, behind the seams, as part of our production team for our sew-alongs. So that was a great question.
It was, and it was time we addressed it.
All right, Quilters, it's time for us to get ready for the next show. We hope today's show is just what you needed to inspire you to sew your blocks together for the Go Dart around the Glorified 9 patch. Before we leave, I want to give a shout out to all the people who are helping us online. So online we have Katie,
Courtney, Emily, and Lauren.
Excellent. See,
There we
this
go.
is why we ask.
All right.
In the studio, we have Brock and Kenyon and Greg and lovely Erica, and I am Pam.
That's right. And Quilters, we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
Join us every Tuesday at 12 noon Central Time for launch parties and trunk shows. These events are filled with tips and tricks and inspiration galore. Next time, we'll be providing new inspiration for the Go Sloth die. You'll want to tune in and see if you've won a door prize that we give away during our shows.
And be sure to join me every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AccuQuilt Live. We have tons of fun. Next time, we will be continuing our quilt along as we sew our rows together and add our borders. See you there.